Hi. Um, I created a channel just to inform people to um, about anything that could help them. So I just got in the mail, and I meant I'm in Texas, by the way. So I just got in the mail vote Royce West for the U.S. Senate. Now I'm looking at this and I see that he says good jobs and living wages, quality and affordable health care for all, and a world-class education for every child. Now, I myself would like to know different things like how much money is going into education, how much money is going into the Affordable Care Act for all, how much money is going into providing good jobs and living wages for people. And I think that when they run, not taken away from Mr. Royce West, because I've heard nothing but great things about him, but I would like to see numbers. I would like to see this is going here, this is going to attribute to this, is going to attribute to that. Something that will break down exactly what people need to know of all kinds, so that we can stay informed. This is my first time doing a YouTube. For me to do a YouTube is crazy for me. So, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Again, in my description, I'm just trying to inform. I'm very, very new to this, and as time goes, if I get subscribers, um, I'll definitely figure out how to do better. So, I'm going to be patient with myself, and I'm definitely not going to criticize myself because I've never done anything like this before. So I look forward to just talking about this. Also, I would like to talk about education. I would like to talk about social skills. I would like to talk about ways to teach your children social skills when they come out the womb, and to teach them skills on how to have self-esteem. I did not know that self-esteem is taught. I felt like you were just born with it. Now, I know that that probably sounds crazy to some people, and maybe some people can relate to me. So, one or two things are going to happen. You're going to think that what I say sounds completely crazy, or you're going to relate to me, or you may not find any purpose for looking at me at all. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with all three of those things. Know that if you have no purpose for me, that speaks for itself. And then also, if you don't understand me, we can get an understanding. And then, if my information to you or my searching for the truth helps you, then we're on common ground. So, I do seek people who are also looking for these things too. I just believe that when we get these flyers in our mailboxes, and I won't show it because I don't know all the rules for YouTube, but when we get these flyers in our mailboxes about voting, I just feel like there should be a breakdown of everything. I'm an educator, I'm also a counselor, and you create plans, you create interventions to plans. If this plan didn't work, you come up with a better plan. And so, this is what I'm trying to figure out with our government. When they see that this plan doesn't work, then what? When you see that that didn't work, then what? Do you come up with interventions? And again, you guys, I'm speaking from an educator's point of view. When we teach a child a lesson, when we teach a whole class a lesson, and we take the results of that lesson and we do the figures, and only 30% passed that test, that's saying that I need to reteach. Now that doesn't mean that I come back and I teach the exact same lesson. That means, I'm sorry, excuse my dog. That means that I need to develop a whole new lesson, okay, after looking at my children's data. They, as an educator, you can look at your children's data and you're going to see a pattern. And it's going to be to the extent of 60% got number 15 wrong, 40% got number 3 wrong, 99% got number 1 right. So we want to shoot for the 99%. What did I do with question number 1 to where 99% got that right? Okay. Even if it was an easy question or something that they already knew or it wasn't that hard, how can I then make those other questions just as easy so they're successful there? And so when we're talking about our government, is this what's taking place? When you see that you put a plan in place, and I'm sorry about my hair, but when you put a plan in place and it's not working, do you go back and do you say, okay, let's go back to the table? It's working here, but it's doing nothing there. It's mediocre here, but it's skyrocketing here. Do you then go back in and say, okay, let's work on these areas that it's not working in? Because in public education, that's what they're telling us to do. Okay, they're telling us don't keep using something that's not working. Don't go, if you're teaching a child multiplication, and multiplication is taught in different ways as an educator. If it's 2 times 3, some educators may put 2 dots 3 times and have that child to count it, and they'll come up with 6. Another educator may say, okay, we're going to constantly practice our twos. We're going to constantly go over our twos in different formats. Another educator may create a game for the child to get on and work on just their twos. But the goal is to get that child to know their twos, right? It's not to, I'm just going to keep this same format and 20% of my class are successful and another 30% is mediocre, and then 50% is C or below. And I'm going to keep that going. That's not equity for all my students. That means that 20% got it, that 30% probably need another way so that they can also be successful. And then that other 50% needs a whole different way of being taught. And I just want to know, is politics the same way? Do you look at these things and say, okay, this is not working? And then once you do that, can you fix it? So again, I just started this. I don't know what's going to become of it. I just want to do something. I want to do something positive. I want to create a avenue to help. If it's just one person, if one person walks away and say, you know what, you helped me. You know what, you helped me to look deeper. You helped me to ask more questions. That's great. The days of putting a sign in someone's yard when it's time to vote, for me, is over. I feel like a year in advance, 6 months in advance, and again, I'm not a politician, but I feel like if you're introducing something, there should be time for people to marinate and think about truly where you're going with that. And they should have the material in front of them, okay, to make a selection. I'm not straight, you go into the voting ballots and it's straight Democrat. You got all these people and you don't even know what they stand for. You don't even know their names. And that's down to the district attorney. All these people that play so many roles in our lives, and we don't know what their agenda is. We're just going straight Democrat. We need to know. Someone may say, well, there are too many to know. Okay, well then we can figure that out. Remember, I'm a teacher. It's all about going in, trying something. If that doesn't work, we come back to the table and we figure out another way. There is a way that everyone can get their information out to the public so that we have a clear and concise view of what you're bringing to the table. We know what your caption is. For instance, good jobs and living wages, quality and affordable health care for all, a world class education for every child. We know your captions, but we need to know the bullets underneath there. How are you going to go back about doing that? What monies are going to go to that? Um, do I agree? Do we agree with that much money going there? Do we agree? Okay, world class education for every child. What does that look like? What does that mean? What does world class education mean to you? And what does it mean to me? What does it mean to the person who's running? So that's all I want to do. There's a ton of things that I would like to talk about. This is just one, and that's why in my description I talked about being a lifelong learner. I welcome all lifelong learners. I am not trying to offend anyone or get on here and be the beauty queen of the week or anything like that. I'm not here, for any of that. I'm here to just engage in us becoming more informative so that we can all live here and receive an abundance of life that we deserve. We've lived in chaos. We've lived in confusion. We've given our taxes. We have no choice but to pay our taxes. I feel like we have a right to know where those taxes are going and how they're being used. And then we also have a right to disagree and say, let's come back to the table. Can we come back to the table? Because this isn't working. I don't like the education that my child is getting. I don't understand why my child is being put in special ed. Do you know that a lot of parents look at special ed in a certain way? That needs to be broken down to them. And why are their child being put in education? What is all that about in terms of how do they qualify? These are things that were developed, and we don't even know. I don't know who developed them. I don't know the criteria for it. I know it's a formula, but I don't know the criteria for it. So I get lots of questions being in education. So I just have questions too. And whatever answers that I get, I'll be more than happy to relay them to you. So that's all I'm doing. If I don't get any subscribers, then I'll be stopping anyway. Or I may just continue. Who knows? I would like to join more people in because I know other people. I'm trying to keep that sun out of y'all's face. But I know other people who also have a plethora of information to give. And here's the thing about life. You can take it or leave it. There's an old saying that says you can eat the meat and throw the bone away. That simply means you could have agreed with 20% of what I said and disagreed with 80%. You don't have to take my 80%. You can take my 20% and you can do that thing. Okay? And that's my only point here. Is to help, is to make things better for not just for me, but for my children, for my future grandchildren, if I have any, because my kids are focusing on their careers, which is great. That's another thing. Raising children, and then how do we parent our grown up children? Me and some colleagues were talking about that. How do you move from raising your children to raising a teenager to now you having an adult? And do you treat that adult the way you would treat them as a teenager and as a child? And the answer is no, okay, if you want a healthy relationship. But then there's ways to transition and to these different levels in your child's life. At some point, your child does have to go out in the world and experience it for themselves, and have to try things for themselves. That's been very hard for me to see. but my relationship with my children has greatly improved because of it. I'm sorry. So there's a ton of things that I'll talk about. It won't just be elections. I will say that the election for, bear with me, this current election for U.S. Senate is worse, and I have an accent. I'm in Texas. Worse West. And I also have a little tiny twisty tongue. And it's for U.S. Senate. I've heard nothing but great things about him. The election is on the 14th of July. Today is the 9th. So, again, am I just voting straight Democrat? And I don't even know how this is going to affect me and my family and my future. Or do I want to seek more? Do I want to know more? So that's all that I want to kind of get out of this, and hopefully to help people and bring in also other people who are experienced in areas that I'm not, and then I bring my experience in areas that they may not be as experienced in, but together we have all this information and we're just throwing it out there and we're all just getting better. Like I said, the goal is to have an abundance of life, to live an abundance of life, to live a life of love and happiness. If you don't want to live that type of life, that's your choice too. But I'm speaking specifically to people who want a better life for themselves, their family, and their future descendants. So that's my goal. And again, I thank you for listening to me. If you press on my channel, if you like it, press subscribe, and I would definitely do the best I can as I navigate through this new life that I'm trying here. So thank you for listening to me. If you listen to me, and you have a great day. And again, I wish you nothing but the best and an abundant life.